Well, the 2012 high school football season gets started this Friday night, and that means it's time for Inside the Zone with News Sentinel sports editor Tom Davis. Tom, always good to have you along. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to preview the main conferences in our viewing area, plus we're going to talk about the Week 1 matchups. And you've been out covering practices, covering scrimmages, so we're going to start with the SAC, because I saw you out there on Friday night covering at Bishop Darcy Stadium. Luers taking on Dwenger. When you start with the SAC, you got to start with Luers. They are head, neck, and shoulders above everybody else right now.
Well, they have this one kid named Jalen Smith who's not half bad. I think he'll probably start this year. No, he's rated the #4 recruit in the nation right now. Some are arguing he's the best recruit in the nation. He's verbally committed to Notre Dame. But, you know, even without Jalen, Bishop Luers would be great. They have so many weapons. Michael Rogers, Tyvel Jemison. They do have a brand new quarterback. Should be junior Quinn Cook. He's getting most of the reps in practice, but freshman Noah Wazinski, I believe is how you pronounce that, could also get some snaps as well. But Kendrick Mullins, another two-way guy that is just a dangerous player for Luers. Dan Beckman on the line is an experienced guy. Even without the nation's best player, Bishop Luers would be the favorite to win the 2A state champion for the 4th straight year and could very easily win the SAC again. And
luckily Al Gore invented the internet, so we have that for recruiting purposes.
Yes.
But if you take a look at Rivals website, they have listed the top 20 players in the state of Indiana. Bishop Luers has 4 of the top 20 players in Indiana. Yes. They're a 2A school.
Right.
That's just impressive. Of course, Jalen Smith's #1. You mentioned Tyvel Jemison. A guy like Jaquel Cooper, if he's on another SAC team, you're talking about him every Friday night. They've got guys that are stars that are going to be taking secondary roles this season. That's how it is every year with them.
But yeah, Luers, those kids do that. They think team first. They're not about themselves. I mean, they have a number of weapons every single year. And, you know, James Kanapke was, last year the quarterback, was just happy to go out and play, and whether he threw for 4 touchdowns, 1 touchdown, whatever, he was just about winning. And that's what these kids get ingrained in them year after year. It's about the program. It's not about themselves.
One more quick stop on Luers before we move on. The quarterback position, you touched on it a little bit. Yeah. How big of a factor is it? Because James Kanapke, the SAC's all-time leading passer, all-time leading touchdown thrower, but this is an offense where you need to be like Trent Dilfer. You just need to manage the game and not turn the ball over.
As long as you show up and tie your shoes, you should be okay. Just hand off the ball to one of those 5 running backs that can get you ground. But in all seriousness, you know, Quinn Cook is not going to be James Kanapke, but James Kanapke as a sophomore wasn't James Kanapke either. But he just managed the offense and got him to a state championship game, didn't hurt the team, and that's what Quinn's going to do this year. He'll get more and more comfortable as the season goes on, and you'll see him throwing downfield a little bit more, maybe in late September or early October, than he will against Snyder on Friday night. But Quinn Cook, he's a smart kid, seemed like a mature kid when I interviewed him, so I think Luers will be fine.
And I said that Luers was head, neck, and shoulders above everybody. That may be a bit of an overstatement, because if you've been out to Snyder practice, they've got a lot of talent. Northside's looking pretty good. They've got a lot of starters returning, and Northrop is on the way up as well. Who do you see as right there behind Luers, perhaps, in the standings at the end of the year?
Well, you know what? When you say behind Luers, I actually picked Snyder in our preview on Thursday to win the SAC this year. They have 38 seniors returning, and keep in mind, my prediction may go completely out the window by Friday night at about, what, 9:15? So, but Snyder has 38 seniors returning. They have an experienced quarterback in Brandon Phelps. They do lose their running back in John Nelson, but they have really valuable tight end weapons in Josh Spitnail and Addison Dellinger. And then defensively, they have guys like Weston Painter, who's a defensive lineman, going to Indiana State, and Nick Reese at the linebacker spot. They have a lot of talent, a pretty good depth, a lot of guys that maybe weren't in starring roles last year, but they were getting their opportunity this year. And you know how Snyder is. They just plug new guys in there, and they're so deep and talented. They'll be perfectly fine. But I picked Snyder to win the SAC.
I am impressed. A little out there on the ledge there, picking the Snyder Panthers, but they're going to give Luers a heck of a game. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Northside returns 13 starters, including quarterback C.J. Jackson, all-SEC performer, and Anthony Lanier. I had a chance to see their scrimmage against Carroll. I think they're going to be tough. And I want you to talk a little bit about Northrop and Bishop Dwenger, because Northrop may have the best starting quarterback coming back in the conference, Mr. Brockhouse, over 2,000 yards last year. And then there's a quarterback situation at Dwenger, unfortunately, with Mike Cable out for the season.
Yeah, to call the Bishop Dwenger quarterback a situation is putting it mildly. It's a good thing God's on Bishop Dwenger's side, because right now they're on their third quarterback, and they haven't even played a game yet. John Kelty was injured at the scrimmage last week against Lures. I'm not positive whether he's going to play or not, but it looked like it was a really badly either sprained ankle or broken ankle. And so in stepped sophomore Cody Miller, who last year was playing a freshman schedule, and this year will be playing 2A state champion Lures, 3A state champion Chittard, and 4A state champion Cathedral. Oh, and Northside and Snyder to boot. So Dwenger, boy, they really look like they struggled last week against Lures. Now maybe that was partially Lures. They do have some weapons. Nick German's a talented two-way guy at wide receiver, defensive back. Blake Bowers is a good lineman. DeMarcus Moon can run the ball a little bit. So they're still Dwenger, but boy, that quarterback situation is just, it's got to be resolved. And you know, but historically, Dwenger has been able to replace their quarterbacks, but they've done so with the luxury of the offseason. They don't have that this year.
Yeah, right. Baptism by fire, I think, is the term you use out of Bishop Dwenger. So you've got Snyder. I've got Lures winning it. It should be very interesting. We're going to talk more about the big games coming up.